Bill Maher has basically become the saddest and most predictable Democratic partisan in the country. Just, the down-the-line Democratic opinions that aren't remotely edgy or interesting or original. Well, he spent some time with his panel on Friday reanalyzing the 2016 election again. This is now the 416th time they spoke about that, and it will be the 416th time I respond. Let's watch, and then we'll talk.
If you feel like for a generation or more that the establishment has facts, but they don't care about you, they're lying, they're not helping you, whether it's the mainstream media or it's the politicians in the establishment or it's the business types, then, and somebody else comes around and says they're going to break things, you don't care so much if they are getting caught or fact-checked by the Washington Post.
Your book is called Us Versus Them, right? And you say, it's Trump that caused that, not the other way around.
Because
right?
It's not just the United States. We see the same exact thing happening in Europe, too. I mean, Brexit happened despite all the facts to the contrary, because a bunch of people said, yeah, I can vote with your facts. You're not going to help me in the slightest. So let me go another way.
But aren't we letting the voters off the hook, his voters off the hook a little bit? I mean, I really do think there is an element there that's more about what they think they're going to lose in the future.
Yeah, no, it's actually all about perception. Like self-identified poor people who were white, has twice as likely to vote for Hillary, I think, than for Trump.
They voted more for Hillary.
Yeah, they're self-identified as poor.
Right.
There was people who are worried about losing something that voted for Trump. I think something like all of the rich people without college degrees voted for Trump. Like 20% of his voters earned more than $100,000 but didn't have a college degree. So the striking difference about Trump voters isn't that they were literally left behind. It's they're fearful of left behind. They weren't the people that were left behind. They're the person who are worried about losing something. The people who actually lost something voted for Hillary. Like the most significant predictor for voting for Trump was racial animus and racial resentment. And if that's one of your teams,
it's really
you need to know
that
who that is.
The one advanced industrial democracy in the world where you're not seeing teams play out is Japan, where they're all Japanese. Right?
Right.
And they believe just as much in their business community and their political establishment and their media now as they did 20 years ago. The United States and Europe, nowhere is that actually true.
Do you think the left got bullied into not saying you're racist?
Yes.
Because that offends us. And
it's worse than anything else is to call me a racist.
Right.
Yeah.
But they obviously were okay with voting for a racist. I mean, there's a small difference between being a racist and being okay.
They were okay with the protest vote. They were okay with voting for anyone who's going to break things down. I mean, we're not Sanders. Bernie Sanders is also a.
But it was white people voting for Trump. The people who were actually hurt by globalism, the people who were whose jobs were at risk.
Yeah.
They largely voted for Hillary Clinton. It was people who were scared. I was looking at a study today because I knew I was going to be talking to you that you can break down support for globalization along racial lines. It is white people who are fearful of it, and it's people of color who are okay with it, even though it's their job.
It's not just race; it's change in general. Certainly, race is a big part of it, but they still hate Hillary Clinton. And that is new to be still running against the person from the last election who's now just sitting as a grandma at home in Chappaqua, right? But that is the animating force still of the Republican Party. That's getting close to stalking.
He just can't fucking help himself, man. He really can't help himself. Every show, it's Hillary defense, Hillary defense, Hillary defense. Listen, the reason why they're talking about her is, no, not because she's sitting at home, which, by the way, yeah, they might keep talking about her, even if she was sitting at home, but she's not sitting at home. She's out there. She just did a fucking, she's on a tour where it's like a blame everybody but me tour, where the whole point of it is to go around and say, oh my God, James Comey. Oh my God, Vladimir Putin. Oh my God, Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. Oh my God, sexism and Bernie Bros. Like, that's the whole thing. She was just in India where she was talking about how I won all the places that are forward-thinking. I won the places that represent like 2/3 of America's GDP. He won the places talking about Trump that are backwards, basically. That was the gist of what she was saying. So if she's out there and basically saying, well, the good people really for me anyway, well, that's a fucking problem, Bill, because she's tied to the Democratic Party. By many, she's still viewed as a fucking leader of the Democratic Party. And when their whole thing is, I'm going to shame you if you're not already for me, that sets up perpetual losses. The Democrats will keep losing. Because instead of trying to reach people and get people to vote for you, what they're doing is the same tactic as in 2016, which is, I'm going to shame you if you're not already for me. I mean, it's the first time in history that this idea was flipped, and it was like, she's entitled to your vote, and if you don't give it to her, something's wrong with you. So in other words, it's not, she's not failing you. The politician isn't failing you. You're failing her if you don't suck it up and go vote for her regardless of all the disagreements you have with her because Trump. So stop with the fucking over-the-top apologetics. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. But to the meat of what was said there, he said, like, oh, liberals have been, have been scared off of just calling a spade and calling them racist, talking about Trump voters. Yes, that's what we have a lack of, people calling Trump voters racist, Bill. You nailed it, man. That's like one of the most common things you hear everywhere. Is like, yeah, Trump's voters are racist. And by the way, are there many Trump voters who were racist? Fuck yeah, David Duke supported Donald Trump. Richard Spencer supported Donald Trump. I mean, but that's the point, is this is duh. Like, it's not hard. We understand that. He thinks it's like, I have a brilliant thought that you need to hear. What if we just call Trump voters racist? And the other ladies panel, the lady's name on the panel is, I don't know her name, but she's like, making the same arguments, like, no, when you look at the data, it's obviously clear that this breaks down along racial lines, and then one side is bad and racist, and the other side is good and angelic. Are there some Trump voters who are racist? Yes. We can argue over the numbers, but to me, that's unimportant. Because what I care about is, how do we win in the future, and how do we beat these authoritarian monsters in the future? And the answer to me is, you have to try to persuade the people who are persuadable. We all get it. Some of the people on the Republican side are not gettable. It doesn't matter how many policies you propose that are for them, they're still going to tell you to fuck off, and they're still going to vote for irrational reasons, whether they're religious fundamentalist reasons or white supremacist reasons. Everybody gets it. Everybody on the left gets it. You're not going to get every Republican to vote for you. But there are some people who are gettable. There are two-time Obama voters who switched and voted for Donald Trump. We're saying, shit, Hillary lost the election because of what? Like 100,000 votes in the goddamn Rust Belt? And she's the candidate who used to support NAFTA. She's the candidate who supported Wall Street deregulation. She's the candidate who pushed TPP 45 times before she tepidly came out against it because Bernie pushed her there. So you have all these people in the Rust Belt who were former factory workers who had their towns destroyed by Hillary Clinton and the establishment. They cast an anti-establishment vote, and then instead of focusing on the voters who are gettable and coming out with policies that would persuade those voters, be populist and say, hey, we're going to expand Social Security and Medicare. We're going to pull out of those trade deals. We're going to do pro-union legislation. We're going to do a living wage. We're going to do a new deal and a giant infrastructure project. Instead of talking about those things, their genius idea is, I got it. What if we just call them racist? Listen, my ultimate claim is very simple. Are there people who are racist who voted for Trump and supported Trump because of some of the bigoted shit he said? Absolutely. Absolutely. What sense is it harping away on that fact? You're not going to change anybody's mind if you do that. You're not going to shame anybody out of being racist. Why not try to pick up the voters who are not racist and voted for Trump by focusing on those policies that would flip those voters to you, which are populist Democratic policies? But instead of doing that, all they want to talk about are they love bringing up that fact. Well, on average, Donald Trump's voters actually had higher income than Hillary Clinton's voters. Yeah, you're talking about on average. That doesn't mean that there weren't a couple 100,000, if not a few million, people in the Rust Belt who don't make a lot of money or who are unemployed who voted for Trump who could have been persuaded to vote for a Democrat. So that's the thing. They're never going to learn. That's my takeaway from this. They're never going to learn. Because no matter how much we want to focus on policy, no matter how much we want to focus on doing the right thing for the Democratic base and for those voters who went for Trump who could go for Democrats, no matter how much we want to focus on moving forward and on the things that would get Democrats to win and on the policies that would fix the country, they're always going to revert back to this because that's all they got. That's all they got is something. They keep talking about Hillary. By the way, he also brings up Nancy Pelosi. Like, why do they keep talking about Nancy Pelosi? I don't know. Maybe because she's one of the fucking top Democrats in the country and she's massively corrupt, and so it's an easy thing to tear down, and they're right to tear her down. Maybe that, Bill. Have you ever fucking thought of that? But they'll always go back to, sure, you can say you're in favor of intelligent trade policies and unionization and a living wage and a New Deal, but have you considered that Republicans are bad and racist? Oh, Bill, you fucking original thinking hero. Why not just fucking tattoo the Democratic talking points, the DNC talking points on your wrist and then read them out on air like this and then show everybody in the audience, see, I got DNC talking points, yay. What a fucking tool. He used to be more edgy and he used to say things that weren't totally insane, but, in recent years, he's gone down the path of just like, whatever your partisan aunt is, and, big time watches MSNBC all day and just regurgitates all that shit. That's Bill Maher now.